Morning students. In this session we are going to learn about what are data frames in R. So what is a data frame? A data frame is a data displayed in a format as a table. So generally in Excel we are going to enter the data, it will take in the form of rows and columns. Similarly, data frame is a table or a two-dimensional array-like structure in which each column contains values of one variable and each row contains one set of values from each columns. So data frames in R are generally generic data type, means we can insert any type of data in a data frame, that is heterogeneous data. And data frame is made up of three principal components: data, rows and columns. Now I quickly open my R Studio. Now to create a data frame, I am going to use a method called data.frame. Let me show first. Yes. No. So to create a data frame, I am going to use data.frame method. So I am going to create my first data frame with the column names as courses, strength and duration. Now that data frame is created. Now I am going to print my data frame. So you can clearly see that a data frame is created with rows and columns, column, strength and duration as column names. Now summary function is used to summarize the data frame. That is, using a summary function we can use the statistical methods like mean, median and minimum value and as well as maximum value also. That is, summary function is used to establish the statistical operations also in a data frame. Now, in order to access the items or elements of a data frame, I am going to pass the index value. Let me print my data frame first. Now, I am going to access the data frame using an index value. Here, my index value is 1, hence column 1 is retrieved. My index value is 2, column 2 is retrieved. And we can even pass the column name as in the data frame for accessing the values. And we can even use the dollar symbol in order to access the elements of the data frame. So in this way, we can access the elements of the data frame by passing the index value or by passing the column name or by using the dollar symbol along with the column name. Now, to add the rows in a data frame, we are going to use R-bind method. But adding of rows is purely temporary. Let me show it first. Now I am going to print my original data frame and I am going to add another row with MCA 140 and 180. Now the row was successfully added. I am going to print that row and you can clearly see that fourth row, that is MCA 140 and 180 are added. But when I am going to print my original data frame, it will show only 3 rows. That is, adding of the rows for a data frame is purely temporary basis. We use C function to remove the rows and columns in a data frame. So let me print my data frame first. I am going to remove my first row as well as first column also by passing the C function. Now I am going to print the new data frame. It will use only 2 rows and 2 columns. But this deletion is also purely temporary. That is, when I am going to print my original data frame, it will show all the 3 rows and 3 columns. Now, the dimension function is used to find the total number of rows and columns in a data frame. So that is dim function. I am going to pass my data frame. It will give us 3 by 3. Now we can even have a method called ncol, that is number of columns in a data frame, and nrow, number of rows in a data frame. And length function is similar to ncol function in a data frame, that is number of columns. Now, in order to combine the two data frames, the column name must be identical. First, I will give the error value. Let me check. This is my first data frame with first column name as cricket and second column name as century and third column name as duration. Yes, this is my second data frame with first column name as countries, second column name as matches and third column name as duration. Now, in order to combine the two data frames, we are going to use R-bind function, which will combine vertically 2 or more data frames vertically, and C-bind will combine horizontally. Now, I am going to use the R-bind function to combine these two data frames. It will definitely throw the error since the column names are not identical. Hence, I am going to make the same column names. I changed the data frame 2 by changing the column names. Now I am going to print these two data frames first. Yes, cricket, centuries and duration. Both are data frames having a same column names. Now I am going to combine these two data frames using R-bind. Now I am going to print my new data. You can clearly see that both the data frames are combined. That is, in order to combine the two data frames, the column names must be identical. For example, if we are going to create any employee data frame which consists of number of values, let me say my employee data frame has employee ID with 5 rows. So I can mention as 1:5 vector, and as well as employee names, and I'm going to mention their salaries, and I'm going to mention their start date. Now string as factors means everything will be converted into a factor. Now I'm going to print my employee data. Yes, you can clearly see that employee data frame has been created. In this way, we can create the data frame and we can access the elements of the data frame and we can combine the two data frames. Thank you.